Hello, everyone. I'm Greg, and this is Mariner of Spirit. And we all operate under the Supernatural Link Network and under some great people, Katie and Katie Stafford. And I wanted to talk for a moment about the people that I support. And before we bring our guest on, and we bring on Carol, I guess we can just go ahead and do that. We can just wait and bring her on too later when I bring Chuck in. I support Potographs, and Potographs is Tim and Lauren Miley, and Tim came up with the name from when his dog. He had a dog that passed, and he didn't know what he was going to do, how he's going to handle it, and that kind of thing. And he ended up taking pictures of himself that he had with his pup and took him to a convention. He had a bunch of copies made and started to sell them. And the money he made, he was putting into shelters and helping animals and things like that. And as it turned out, it started to grow and grow and grow. And he started coming up with his own event. And that's where Potographs comes in. And he does a few every once in a while. And the one that's coming up is going to be on April 24th and 25th up in Houghton Lakes, Michigan. And if you get the opportunity, check them out and see where the ads are for it. And it's well worth the going, because he has top quality speakers. He does a great job. They put a great show together as far as all the information and, everything that we just got done talking about. So if you get the opportunity, check them out. And the other people are PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, with Chris Gaskowski and Alex Wilkinson. And they're from down in Florida. And they do basically the same thing. They do events, and they do haunted houses, and their events, will be in real haunted houses. And the money that they raise from the entrance to these locations goes to cancer research. So if you get an opportunity, say hi to them, or look them up on Facebook, and it's really, really worth it. The next thing I'm going to bring up is the people that I support. As far as people I support, this is the author part, and these are the people that have been on the show so far that are authors. And we start out with Bruce Holliday, Tobias Wayland, Adam Benedict, Kathy Kressel, Barnaby Jones, Sherilyn Cotter. My glasses are crazy. We've got Dr. Heatherly Langdon, Lynn Monet, Ron Iacovetti, Victoria Munday, Tony Rathman, Natalie Jones, Patty Negri, Sylvia Schultz, Amelia Cotter. We got Rex Nielsen, David Sloan, Christina Bloom, D.A. Wysong, Joseph Hallett, and Dr. Rebecca Foster. All these people, have been part of the show over the years. And the interesting part is some of them have 5-6 books now compared to one in the beginning. So it's really interesting knowing these kinds of people. So, and it's well worth it, to get to see them in person after you've read their books, or you read the book after you see them, one of the two. But I'm not gonna waste any more time. So I'm not really wasting time, but I want to go ahead and bring on. This is tonight. My co-host is Carol Garcia.
Hi.
And Carol's a member of our Wednesday show, and we do a lot of work together as far as ITC work's concerned and things like that. And I thought it would be nice to have somebody from the other side asking some of the questions as far as the subject matter tonight. But I'll have the guest go ahead and explain that part as far as who he's going to be talking about, and then it makes a little sense. So this is Chuck Charles Williams. I call him Chuck. He's from Indiana. He's been a friend of mine for quite a few years. He's he's a paranormal.
I'm not hearing any audio on my end, Greg.
Do you hear it, Carol?
Yeah.
You hear it now? I shouldn't have hit that button, should I? How about now?
He's muted.
Now I muted him.
Oh.
How about now?
I don't think so.
I don't know what we did.
I look like I'm a floating head.
You're a floating head?
Yeah, there's no audio.
Okay, I'm trying to see what's going on. It's on my end. Say something. He doesn't know.
He can't hear you.
I was just going to go ahead and try something real fast and see if I can't get him up this way and see if he just puts his camera down. Maybe we could do it that way. Is your camera ringing? Oh, he's got the... You hear me? Do you hear me? I don't know what the heck is going on. It's okay on our end. And I checked, the connections and everything. If you can just talk, right? Yeah, but you said you couldn't hear us, right? So when I'll go ahead and I'll say, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you? And then at that point where you start to talk, we'll go ahead and reverse this. This is always fun. It's not the microphones. Not on this.
No, because I can hear you and see you. Maybe when he switched it to get the camera before.
How about now?
Now I can hear it.
You can hear it now?
Yeah.
For sure.
Positive. Yeah, technology. I don't know. I just left.
Thank you.
And now it's working.
Okay. Let's give her a run. So this is Charles Williams. He's an old friend of mine. We've been around in the paranormal community for quite some time. He got me involved in organized ghost hunting with a group that we ended up working with together. And since then, he's done a lot of great things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you. This is Charles Williams.
Mm-hmm.
I call him Chuck, and let him go ahead and give you a little idea of what he's been doing and where he's been at and things like that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, we've been working on this documentary for a long time now, because we were working on it before COVID hit. And of course, that when that hit, that put everything on hold for quite a while. And we're in the final editing stages now. And some exciting news. The guy, Kevin MacLeod, who's a musician, composer, he has a website, and you can use his music for free. And he was doing compositions for money. And recently he posted that he wasn't doing that anymore. But I had contacted him before COVID, and he showed some interest, and he's like, well, I don't know. He says, you can send me what you got and I'll look at it. And so he might go ahead and make us a soundtrack. And that's the most recent news about this.
Well, why don't you give everybody a little idea of the storyline? Because there's a lot of people in here that may not know who we're talking about or what the whole story is.
Yeah, sure. I guess we can go ahead and I'll flip my camera again, and we can use the audio visuals. Yeah, give me a second to get this going. What the heck?
No.
More technical issues. Please stand by.
Do we have a station signal we could put up when we're doing that? Like Channel 7 or anything like that? It'd be out of Indiana, though. Well, he gets Channel 7 down there, I bet. There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
It's always fun when the guest disappears.
Well, that's why, we're in the paranormal business, right? So
Yeah,
got to make it interesting.
of course.
There he is.
Sorry, Jesus.
That's okay.
Huh.
That's some of the stuff that happens. You're on now. That looks like smoke on the water, doesn't it? It's a steamer out there.
Yep, that sure is. Okay. Yeah, so the Indiana Dunes basically go all the way from Gary, Indiana up to Michigan City. And they call it Michigan City because if you're in that town, you're damn near in Michigan. So yeah, it goes all that way. So you're talking about a lot of shoreline. Some of Diana's history. The first time people heard about her, there was this guy who ran a general store in Chesterton, Indiana, and these hunters and fishermen were coming in asking for binoculars. And finally, he stopped one of them and he's like, "What's the run on binoculars?" And the guy's like, "Well, we don't know if we're going crazy, if we're seeing things, if it's a mermaid.
Hey, Christy.
But there's what looks like a nude woman swimming in the lake." Now, about the time period's 1915.
15?
Yeah. So that might be shocking even today, but especially back then it was. So after the story got out, and probably the wives took the rolling pin to the husbands, "I thought you were hunting or fishing. What are you doing looking for nude women?" This reporter from the Chicago Herald and Examiner, and that basically over time became the Chicago Tribune.
Right.
This reporter took a photographer with him trying to track down this woman. And they called her Diana because most people think of the Greek goddess Diana. There's a nude woman swimming in the lake. This is the type of images that come to their minds. There's Diana, the goddess of the hunt. This is the first article that came out about her back in 1916. And there was some speculation she may have been a teacher that went missing. They just didn't know at this point. And this is her, Alice Mabel Gray. And when they talked to her, they found out this isn't your typical hermit. This isn't a crazy person. And that's one of the first articles that came out after they found her. It's like, I think they were trying to say, well, this isn't exactly the Diana we thought. Nymph is plump and 40. What woman wouldn't love that type of newspaper coverage? But this was the cabin she was living in.
And she built that herself, right?
No.
No?
No. We think it could have been this other hermit that lived out there, George Black. And after he died, the cabin was open. So she said when she initially went out to the dunes, she slept under the stars for a while. There was a couple named the Richardsons from Chicago who were naturalists, and they had a campsite out there. And she stayed at their campsite sometimes when they weren't there, until she eventually moved into this little cabin. But for glass plate photography back then, that's just...
It's a good picture.
Yeah, you can see the texture of the wood.
Now, when you said naturalists,
Uh-huh.
what's the definition of that to you?
They're people that love nature. They go out camping, exploring.
So is that got anything to do with that nude park they have down there?
No, no.
Sun City or whatever it
Oh,
is. Like,
no. Naturalists in the way, uh, not anything to do with that. They're just in love with nature and
okay.
learn more, explore.
Living off the land?
Yes. And these were her parents. There was some rumors that, as we'll see in a minute, people thought she may have come from a wealthy family. And as it turned out, her dad was like a city lamplighter at the time. And he had gotten into an accident where some lamp oil spilt on him, and he got burned pretty severely. And back then, there wasn't any social type things that would help pay for his work. You just get paid back then. But yeah, and they lived in an area near the Chicago stockyards. And this is after the time Upton St. Clair wrote his book, The Jungle, which kind of exposed what was going on in the slaughterhouse and all that. And it brought about a lot of change. But that was the house they lived in on Hermitage.
On Hermitage Avenue?
Yep. And you can drive up there, and that house is still sitting there.
What 100?
Whoo! I'd have to look it up.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, it's south of the stockyards.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, my dad lived right, and I think it was 40. Right there was 4400 south, maybe.
okay.
And I can't remember the street they lived on, but it was. I was a little kid, and I would run through the house, and I would go through the lace curtains. They were all. My grandmother was yelling at me, and I was looking because I'd look across the street, and then all the cars, the railroad cars, were there with all the cattle in there and the pigs and.
Yeah. But yeah, and this isn't actually. It's probably walking distance to where the Sox play.
Oh wow.
And the reason they thought she came from some money, this is University of Chicago. Excuse me, Jesus.
Sure.
She was a graduate of U of C. She got a degree in mathematics.
Holy cow.
And she went to work in Washington, D.C. for a while. Her job title was computer. And basically what it was is she would crunch numbers all day for star charts. And sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, she fell out of love with this job. It was kind of boring, tedious. Promotions went to men before women, and so on and so on. This is an early picture. It's rumored that this may have been Diana.
The one on the right.
Yeah, sitting under the tree there having a picnic with the family. We don't know if that's true or not, but that's speculation. About a year or a little after she had been there, she got asked, there was a group which I believe was affiliated with the Prairie Club, other people from Chicago who would go out to the dunes and were interested in saving the area so it wouldn't all be eaten up by steel mills in that. And they asked her to come out and give a talk at Fullerton Hall,
Wow.
which is at the Art Institute. It still looks like
Same.
then.
So that's at the Art Institute of Chicago.
Yep. So it's reported she had borrowed this dress to go there and give her speech. Wasn't long after that she met this guy, and kind of a romance started. She said they got married, and I think that was just to quell any more negative press, because nope, a marriage certificate has never surfaced or anything.
Huh.
And they later moved into what became Ogden Dunes, into a bigger shack, which she called the Wren's Nest. And there was some drama. They were questioned because close to where their first cabin was, this camper was found, it, like the story says, charred body, because he had fallen into his campfire.
Oh boy.
So people didn't know if he had a medical emergency and died, if there was some foul play, what had happened to him. So they were brought in for questioning on that. And you see Paul's foot's bandaged there. What had happened is they had gotten into kind of a ruckus with another local resident, and they were like, well, why the hell did you tell the police to come talk to us? So they said Alice jumped on the guy's back, and he had a gun, so he pistol whipped her, fractured her skull, and he shot Paul in the foot. The Dunes back then was a little more like the Wild West, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're taking shortcuts in the story, but this is her grave, and she didn't have a tombstone till the 90s. And I believe that birthday is wrong. So I'm going to do some more research and check into that and see if we can't get her a new stone with the correct date on it.
Wow.
Some of the points we came up with for this documentary is the area where researchers thought her cabin was in the Coles Bog area. Dr. Coles was a professor of botany at University of Chicago, and he did a lot of research out in the dunes, so they named that area after. Oh, and wouldn't you know it, the audio visuals aren't working. That's the story of the night. But this is an old map, which the reason it was relevant to us is it shows down here at the bottom, this is the South Shore track.
Okay.
So you see some of the old train stations that don't exist anymore. So basically, we used a new map of the area, and Coles Bog would roughly be up in here.
Well, we were by it, weren't we?
No, when you were out there, we were further down at the state park,
Okay.
but they had named a dune after her, Diana Dune. And I'm like, well, if she was over here, then why is there a dune named after her way over here? So I think those researchers were close. They just weren't in the ballpark.
Right.
So we compared the new map and the old map, and I used some drone footage to kind of show where these train stations might have been, and we kind of measured it out. So it looked like where her cabin was, in our viewpoint, was where the steel mill is. And that area has been excavated for sand. It's all gone. And that's where we think it was.
Wow.
I think that's just a video clip of the South Shore, because the South Shore still ran out there and the tracks are pretty much in the same location they were. So some of the haunted history. Now, this article popped up about a month or less than after the time she passed away. And it's a full page newspaper page.
Wow.
Haunted by the spirit of Diana of the Dunes. And I think her story kind of lends itself to being a haunted type story. When she died, her dying wish was to have her ashes spread over Mount Tom, which is the tallest dune at the state park. And basically, they convinced Paul to let the family bury her, and they buried her at that cemetery I had the picture of in Gary, Indiana.
That was in Gary?
Yeah.
Weren't we in that cemetery?
Not that one, no.
No.
But that, it made me think, well, why is she buried here? She came from Chicago. Her sister lived in Michigan City. Why Gary?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a cheaper option. I don't know. And from what I understand, the family had to be begged to get involved because I guess they were all embarrassed by this negative publicity about her life story. But yeah, like that, shortly after we have this story. Now, a lot of it is like a ghost story. Like it shows a picture of Paul sitting there alone, waiting for her spirit to come back to him. And there were some, during the research phase, there was some ghost stories printed up in different publications. Like this one was out of an older book, Hoosier Folk Legends. And she's in here. And this has one of the most preposterous stories of all. It says she had a dog, which there's no mention of that in any of the articles. Surely there would have been something that said, oh, she lives out here alone except for the companionship of her dog. But they say when she died, this dog went into town and started raising a commotion, and it turned into like an episode of Lassie.
Oh boy.
What's the matter, girl? And they followed the dog back to where she lived, and they were finding body parts, and supposedly she was all cut up, and that's why was reports of seeing like just a head in the water. And I'm like, well, if someone's swimming, that's what you might see, just a head.
Right.
But yeah, that was, no, she wasn't cut up. You know, just a silly. That's why you got to be careful when you're doing your research and don't believe everything you read. This is kind of out of place. I don't know why this is here other than it's an odd story. The news at this point was getting kind of slim. And here's a little story that Paul was fined for fishing without a license. Yeah. Now, my dad had the same thing. He got fined one time for the same thing, and there wasn't a newspaper article about him. Let's see. This is Haunted Indiana. Tells the story about a park ranger, and doesn't give a name ranger, but supposedly he saw a woman swimming after dark, and he went to tell her, hey, you can't be in here after dark, and she disappeared. But yeah, there's no way to verify that because who the hell was the ranger? We don't know. Midwest Ghost Stories. I think this is the one. It kind of tells her story a little bit, and it's kind of funny because it then advertises, oh, we're going to have a night of ghost stories out here at the dunes. Yeah, at the Wilson shelter. So that just kind of struck me funny. It's just a way to advertise what they were doing out there.
Right.
And this one has a lot of mistruths in it. It's from a website, Ghosts of the Prairie. And I think it's sometimes when people start writing about a story and they just don't have all the facts. So they cobble together whatever they can. Like,
mostly sensationalism.
yeah. You know, and I believe one of the things it talks, one of the things it talks about was her being abused, and that just wasn't the case. Now this is more of a positive story, and it's more of a recent one. And this lady, Kim Swift, she was the head of education at Dunes National Park. She helped write this article, Badass Women Brought Recognition to the Dunes. And one of the women they talk about is Alice Gray. Now, this section I don't think is going to work. I had some paranormal evidence. This area is close to where her first cabin was, or well, yeah, it is. It's her second cabin. It's over by Ogden Dunes, and this area is called Pollywog Pond. And I didn't really notice this until I started looking at it closer. And when you zoom into this area here, this is what you see. And at first, my first thought is this is one of these reeds that are all over, and it's just forced perspective, making it look bigger than the others. but I took pictures in a series. So my second thought is, could this house here, whoever lives there, could they have put some kind of statue down here? But the next picture, if that's a statue, it's changed position.
Huh.
And the very next picture, gone.
And a statue.
Don't know if it's paranormal. I don't know what the hell it is. You be the judge.
Do you have any questions, Carol?
How long had she lived down there in the dunes?
Just under 10 years.
With her significant other?
Not the whole time. They were together maybe 6, 7 of those years. Yeah, she was out there by herself for a little bit.
Who do you think purchased the headstone? Have you found anything on that?
Yeah, that happened in the 90s. That was just a group of people that got together and pooled money.
Because if you go back to that tombstone,
Mm-hmm.
it almost looks like it was made out of wood. Because this whole front section here of the tombstone in the picture, it looks like it's open.
Oh, hey, hang on a second. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, I can go back to it.
There.
Yeah, no, that's like almost a reddish type stone.
Okay. But you see what I'm saying? That the whole bottom section here, all the way across, it looks like it's open.
Could that be like the cement setting?
Well,
Maybe.
this area, the top of it looks like it's further in the ground than this one, than the bottom, and the bottom's a little raised. But here's another picture.
Yeah, you get a better perspective with this picture. It looks like it might be maybe what, about 4 or 5 inches thick.
Yeah, I'd guess about that.
And well, go ahead, Carol. I don't know. That's crazy, those pictures.
Yeah.
Has anybody else investigated that area?
Oh, shoot, sorry. The night of difficulties. To my knowledge, I think some people have went to these areas and just done some things. Like I know Mike McDowell took tours out there, but Ogden Dunes it's not a private community. There's another area, Dune Acres, which has a guardhouse and everything, and that area is more that way. But they don't make it easy for you to visit. Like parking is very, very limited.
Okay.
Which one were we in?
You had went to the state park with it.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I had some clips and they're just not working with some audio and all
So
that.
the picture with where you did the consecutive pictures and you saw something there, that was your doing?
Yeah, those are
Those are
my
yours? Okay.
just pictures taken with my phone.
Yeah, that definitely is paranormal if it's not there in one and in different positions on the others.
Yeah, can't explain it. And one of the last sections here talks about some of her legacy. At Ogden Dunes, they have a road named after her, Diana Road. Things like the article where they talk about her life and the more positives, like the talk at Fullerton Hall, and she was looked at as more this environmental type person. For a while, Chesterton had this Diana of the Dunes Festival, which was just your typical summer street festival kind of thing. Except you notice it says Diana of the Dunes pageant. And it was basically a beauty pageant for these young ladies. And there was some protest over it over the years because they were like, oh, Alice would think this is just nonsense. She wouldn't want this. And I think they were looking at it wrong. They're not saying we're going to crown somebody Miss Alice Mabel Gray. They meant like the goddess Diana. But that's my viewpoint. The Westchester Township History Museum. That's where I did a lot of my early studies for this documentary. And they also house a lot of the Richardson's materials, which we didn't go into, but they're the ones that had the campsite that she stayed in when she first went out to the dunes. And another thing that museum did, they don't do it anymore, but I'm trying to get them to revitalize it, is on her birthday, they would have a birthday celebration, which they would have some speakers come out and say a few words, and they would have birthday cake. And I mean, that's really all there was to it. But, and the dunes themselves took this, this trail they had out there at West Beach, which is right next to Ogden Dunes. It was called the Succession Trail, which basically studies how dunes change all the way from the beach up to the forested areas. And they named it the Diana of the Dunes Trail. And they named this big hill in behind here after her, because they had seen that old map that I had, and they're like, well, hey, they used to have a hill named after her, so let's rename one. And that's about it. That's an odd tree that kind of looks like a question mark, so that's why I used it for my Q&A.
That's cool. So do you have any more questions, Carol?
I'll switch the camera again.
What was the name of the professor that went down into the dunes area?
Henry Coles.
Oh, okay. So that's why it's the area is named after him.
Yeah.
Was he from Chicago?
Yeah. He taught at University of Chicago.
Did he pick up on anything paranormal out there when he was out there?
I don't think
You
he
know of?
was necessarily looking for it. But
Sometimes that's the best time to capture things, when you're not looking. Right?
Well, how many teams that were out there that night we were all together?
Yeah, for this documentary, we did 2 separate hunts. One of them, was here at Ogden Dunes, where her second cabin was. And then you went with us to the state park, and we had 2 teams that night. You took one team down Trail 10, I think it was, which is the longest trail in the park. And because there were stories like this guy, some people use it for fitness. They bike or jog, which I couldn't imagine doing, but people do it. And this guy was jogging, and this woman in white came out of the wooded area, walked across the path, went into the other wooded area, and scared the dumplings out of him. Weird. This other family, and I don't know where, but they were having a picnic, and they looked up, and this woman who looked like Diana was talking to them, and then she disappeared. So that's the things that happened on the team, that the area where Greg was leading the team. And my team went to the beach, and supposedly people would see her swimming like we talked about, or if you look up towards the tree line, they would see this white figure walk amongst the trees. And Greg, you guys actually got some good evidence out of that hunt. It's all going to be in the documentary. Like at one time, somebody asked, I don't know if it was you, I don't remember, but they asked, what was your favorite color dress? And the answer came back white. And most of those pictures we see of her, she looks like a white dress on.
Wow.
That's really good.
That was a crazy night.
Yeah.
How long did you both investigate for there?
Well, we only had a few hours because they locked the gates, I think, at 11.
Oh, okay.
Had to be out of there by 10:30, or either would have been locked, or we could have walked out, but the cars would have been stuck there.
Right. That's not fun when that happens.
No.
Plus the mosquitoes and everything else, because we were in a desolate area.
Mm-hmm.
And Jim the Hartman came in, and he was filming everything too.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. I've enjoyed him now quite a few times with his work. So that, you know, what Chuck has put together is something, you know, I can't wait to see the whole thing, you know, the final product.
Yeah, know. When our first edit came out to close to 3 hours, and we're chopping away, and it looks like after we put the credits on it, it might be closer to 2 hours when we're done.
No, you know, it's not a motion picture, it's information.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you've always done such a fantastic job with that part, you know, that, you know, all the work that I've been involved with you, it's always been really fantastic. You know, there's things that I'm never going to forget.
Mm-hmm.
I may have some of the facts wrong, like what I told Carol was I thought it was she was in the corporate section, right? But I thought she was in downtown Chicago.
Mm.
And I don't know why I came up with that, but that's what I told Carol, right?
Do you know why she decided to stop employment and then go live there?
Well, yeah, there's all kind of speculation. She kind of gave some funny answers. Like she said, oh, I was having failing eyesight. It's like, okay, well, why would you go way to the dunes where things might be treacherous, and especially more back in her time.
Right. And be alone there
Yeah,
with poor eyesight.
So
That
instead
must
of
be good.
seeing the bear like 50 feet away or 25 yards or whatever,
Mhm.
she wouldn't see the bear until he was like 3 foot away. So that one only happened once.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, there was rumors about maybe a failed romance. She was involved with somebody at the University of Chicago for a while. The not really being happy with the work she was doing. She said it was monotonous. One of her quotes was, "Being a salary earner is into slavery." Like I said, men got advanced before women because that's
Right.
what things were. They got
Wasn't
work because they said, well, men have families to support. Well, women may have a family too, you know.
Right.
But yeah, there were all kind of reasons, but the main reason I think she went out to the dunes is I think she was depressed and contemplating suicide. And in one of the first articles where they found her, she gave a list of what she took with her, and it wasn't much. She said a jelly jar, like a fork, spoon. I forget, maybe a blanket, and 2 guns, which is odd.
yeah.
But I think at some point when she first got out there, she decided, well, I really don't want to kill myself. So let me just stay out here and see if I can handle it. Just being out here.
So from all your findings of her working, I was under the assumption before that she was like the first woman that was corporate in Chicago, or was that something that?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah, her only ties with Chicago, the University of Chicago. And while she was there, she would like help professors with papers at times, or there was some talk she may have helped out with a scientific journal there at the university. And she may have had like a secretarial job at some point, but that's about her extent there in Chicago.
Oh, that's
So
really...
she just really just wanted a change.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I believe.
I know there were some questions here. Barbara says, do they connect in any way with the sand bear dunes in Michigan?
I don't think so. They pretty much end there around Michigan City.
Yeah, you got to go all the way up to the dunes that we used to go to were the Warren Dunes.
Okay.
So that's north of there. And that had some real crazy dunes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like out of Lawrence of Arabia. You could go over the top and almost go straight down. And then you'd have it could be like 60 degrees and you get in the middle there and you have all these hills around you and it'd be like 90 degrees in there.
Mm-hmm.
All the beer would get absorbed really fast.
How large is the area of the dunes again? Did you say that, like the length of the area?
Yeah, it goes all the way from Gary, Indiana, up to Michigan City. And
Okay.
I don't know the exact mileage, but you could look on. Excuse me. You could look at Google Maps and see. Excuse me, see the area.
Okay.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, as long as we might as well throw a teaser out so that, you know, for the people that are watching now, for the other ones that we were going to go ahead and talk about the next show.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So can you go ahead and throw some stuff at them? And
Well, if we're going to do the John Wayne Gacy story, it actually focuses more on the victims, and I got involved with trying to find all their graves, which I eventually did. And what I really got involved with was the unidentified, excuse me, Gacy victims.
you got to have some vodka in there or something.
But when it initially happened, they were working on identifying all the bodies. And they basically identified all of them except 8. And back then, there was no DNA. Sorry, Jesus.
That's okay.
There wasn't any DNA, so that they had one with like dental record. Well, the first guy to be identified, the old reporter Russ Ewing out of Chicago, got involved with that case. And cut a long story short, he got some dental records and they identified him, and his family lived in Iowa, real close to Nebraska, and his father was buried in Omaha, so they exhumed him and moved him to Omaha.
Wow.
So he's about the Gacy victim who's furthest away. So that left us with 7. And I had went on a graveyard tour that Mary Huff and her sister Judy was having. And one of the stops was at this tombstone that just had one date on it. And it said, "We remembered." And she says, "This is one of the unknown Gacy victims." And she told the story. And after it was over, I said, "Well, do you know where the others are?" And she said, "No." So that got me to look for them. And I guess that's where we'll continue on in the next episode.
Okay.
Do you know if they located any out of the water that he had dropped some off? That wasn't it a bridge?
Chicago River.
Yeah. They found 3 of the bodies, and they believe they got all of them out, but Gacy told a story, and I don't know if they believed it or not, but he said one time when he dumped a body, it fell on a barge. And I'm
Ooh.
like, hey, if you're the barge captain, wouldn't you say something about it?
Right.
Or would you just dump it back in the water? You know, what would you do? But they believe they got the 3 out of the lake or the river and at the Des Plaines River.
Wasn't that the Chicago River?
No, Des Plaines.
Where on the Des Plaines River was that?
Well, he did it not far from where he lived.
Okay.
And I could show you that area, but
Yeah,
I can't describe it too well.
right. It's hard to believe, that kind of thing went on and continued to go on, and this guy was dumping bodies and like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you did a great service with a lot of your work, when you got done with just the tombstones.
Yeah.
That's a pretty chunk of change compared to what it would have been back in the 60s.
Yeah. Doing the research, there was one guy in a cemetery in Illinois not far from my house. And that cemetery is not too well kept, and it's affiliated with another cemetery. And when I went in the office, they told me where his stone should be. And when I went out there, I couldn't find it. And they verified it. They sent guys out there, and they're like, yeah, he must not have one. So what we're going to is I started a little campaign, and I paid for the bulk of it, but some other people helped chip in, and we got him a headstone.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
How many did you have to get? How many headstones did you end up purchasing?
just that one.
Just the one?
Yeah, I was looking into getting one. Sheriff Dart had started a DNA program where he called on the public and said, hey, if you had anybody that went missing, we'll offer this free DNA test and see if any of these guys belong to you, if they're family members. And so far they've identified 3
From people coming in?
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of the guys, the newest one they found, he still and coincidentally it was the one Mary Huff took us to. He still has that same headstone. And I was talking with the cemetery, and they're like, yeah, if you want to pay for a headstone, we can do it. Sorry.
That's okay. We won't keep you too long if that's bothering you too much to talk too much.
And the detective who was working with Sheriff Dart, I finally got a hold of him, and he's like, yeah, we have money to buy the tombstone, but the cemetery wasn't cooperating with us. So I put him together with the guy I was talking to, and I really need to follow up because the guy at the sheriff's department said he would get back to me, and I haven't heard anything. So I'm going to call the cemetery and see what I can find out.
I hope by the time we get you back on,
Mm-hmm.
that we'll have a system set up it was great the way we saw the pictures. It would be neater if we could get it set up where we're smaller, and then the whole picture would be basically what you were showing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. And I know you've done a tremendous amount of work on all your projects just the same way, and you've carried the same enthusiasm with this one compared to, like, the circus train. And for anybody that's in the chat, you want to let them know who was working with you as far as the Huffs are concerned, because they may know her.
Yeah. Judy Huff was the sister who, way back, Dale's group, Ghost Research Society, was doing an investigation out there. And she's the one that got the famous Bachelor's Grove photo of the woman sitting on the tombstone.
The Madonna of Bachelor's Grove.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's who Judy Huff was.
She still is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We worked with her. You and I worked with her at one of the Paracons on the south side when the place that burned, Willow Springs Ballroom, right?
Yeah.
And that was a big spot back in the 20s and 30s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's when Resurrection Mary
Yeah.
would be going up and down the road from Resurrection Cemetery. And that's the woman that supposedly was she was hit and killed. And then the next thing they knew, that she was trying to get into the cemetery, and somebody had let her off. She hitched rides back and forth down the street, and she had come back and she wanted to get into the cemetery, and they said that she grabbed the bars.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the heat of her hands, was it, that sort of bent or melted the bars?
Yeah. Yeah, where you could see what looked like finger impressions.
Right. So they ended up actually removing those bars because too many people were stopping to see this.
Yeah.
Wow.
That whole road, down there was just the whole way. Because we always, Dale's group always had, we had Christmas parties at a place called Chet's Melody Lounge, and it's right on the same road. Right?
Yep.
So that was really cool. So, but it's great to have you once again, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing all this information with everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
And Carol, I feel bad that you didn't ask a lot of questions, but
That's okay. We got a lot of information tonight. That was wonderful.
Yep. So thank you very much. And if you want to hang here for a minute, we'll just go ahead and close this out, and then we'll go ahead and talk for a few minutes before you leave.
All righty.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Once again, it's a great story. And Chuck's responsible for, is it 5 or 6 documentaries now?
Well, this Diana will be the 4th.
The 4th?
Yeah.
So I'm over enthusiastic.
More.
It's always a pleasure to have you, and it's a privilege to know that I have a friend that actually puts that kind of work out there.
Oh, sure.
And the only way that they could see it is, where do they get the DVDs now?
Well, there's not a good I don't have a website or anything, just any of the paranormal conferences I go to, that's about the best way to get them.
So they could go to your Facebook page, right?
Yeah, they could always contact me through that.
Okay. Okay.
That's great.
So everybody, thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to go ahead and shut her down now. So
Good
have
night,
a great
everyone.
weekend. And what do we got next week? We'll have one Spirit Connect on Wednesday, and then Friday I'm going to have Jenny Davis on. So you guys all have a great night, and thanks again, Chuck, for being here.
Sure.
And we'll see you guys later on. And tomorrow's Obscura, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. There's an Obscura Paracon that's down in DeKalb, Illinois, in case any of you guys want to join us. And we're just going down there to, see what's going on. So have a good weekend and enjoy yourselves. And
Remember to smile.
thank you, Carol. Okay. We'll see you guys. Ha 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 ha.